What did you guys think? What's your favorite part? The outdoor shower or the peeing in the bucket?
Peeing in the bucket.
Sounds legit.
So what's it really like to live without indoor plumbing? It's a lot of walking, and it's a lot of the neighborhood seeing me in a bathrobe. Yeah, because literally, you have to do everything outside. And when I mean everything, I mean washing your hands, using the hose, brushing your teeth, and most importantly, using the porta potty, which it's pretty awful after a little bit, not gonna lie.
Oh, and lest we forget, I do have a laundry area as well, namely the end of my driveway. And it's my bucket, that's my detergent. Yep, there's my stick. See, the kids have messed with that, or maybe I left it there, who knows. So yeah, you can see on Instagram, me doing the laundry, and there's my drying rack. I am going to the laundromats too, but sometimes in the interim, this is also my laundry space. So this, realistically, is the only part of this entire experience that I find acceptable for first world living. But I do like my outdoor shower. Check it out. Got nice clean gravel to sit on. I've got hot and cold water. And because we just had the hot water heater fixed before all this nonsense, it's limitless. I've got a place for my razor, place for my foot scrubby, place for other stuff that the kids have put there. It's pretty awesome. So this is exciting. We're starting week 2 with a fresh dumpster. That'd be the 6th dump of the building materials. And then even more exciting, you see this? Do you know what this is? This means we start framing. It's lunchtime, so let's go see where we're at. To excuse the complete and utter lack of hair and makeup today. You ever just not feeling it? I will admit, last week was a little stressful, but now that we're getting some framing going in, I'm feeling a lot better about it. So maybe tomorrow I can be a little more like my regular self. Never thought seeing lumber would be so freaking exciting, but it is. Yeah. So our engineer approved for our permit 2 2x10s, sistered in the beam that had been previously already cut through. That's not great because this does have supports in the basement. So this is not a full load bearing wall, but definitely one that was supporting some of the structure. So yay for us fixing what shouldn't have occurred a long time ago. And they have other wood here. So as you can see, it's mostly cleaned up. They still need to take out this tile floor. So they've not finished this piece. But what they're trying to do here is go ahead and redo these joists. I had filmed it, but I didn't put it in our recap video. They're going to have to sister each one of these joists in due to some oddities about how concrete was poured in the 1920s. And so they're going to sister all these in, and hopefully we're going to have floors in the bathroom again. And then we can take most of this plastic down and we won't have the dust everywhere. So I'm super stoked. Also, I had bad nightmares of people falling down these holes, even though they're blocked off. Crossing fingers, we get some floors back in the bathrooms, so I don't have to have nightmares that one of my children has fallen down a giant hole. Though logic would dictate that wasn't possible, dreams and waking up at 3 in the morning says differently. Let's see, we are on day 7? Yeah, day 6 was Monday, so this is day 7, it's Tuesday, and tomorrow's Wednesday, yep. Day 7, here we go. I'm tired today. It's just a lot of decisions, and I will admit I'm a person that gets decision fatigue. So yeah, it's just a lot of noise, a lot of dirt, a lot of decisions. And you hope you're making the right ones because everything has a cost attached. But we made some really good progress. So let me suck up my tiredness, and because it's almost 7, I haven't eaten, and we had like a 2-hour consult with the tile person. So all right, some progress. It doesn't look any different down here, but it should look better up here. We have a floor again. so I don't have to worry about anyone falling. And then I think this is the hardest new decision of the day. The original subfloor has to go. The tile gentleman came by to give consultation, which was great. I think we're on sync with that. But in order to make it meet the floors that are hardwood over here, this needs to go. Probably needs to go anyway to make sure it's level, stabilized, and that the tile can be resilient on it. You need a nice firm surface for that. So that was the final decision of the day at like 7, that tomorrow this is going to come out and it will get a brand new subfloor, just like we have above us. So yay! We do have a new floor above us, so they can actually start doing plumbing and everything there. And we'll get a new floor below us. Woohoo! Another day in paradise. Okay, so I will admit I've been super lax on the filming this week, which is fine, because construction is one of those things where it looks like you're doing a ton some days and absolutely nothing other days, even though they're working super hard as a crew. So there hasn't been a whole lot to see other than we got floors in the bathrooms, and I think Adam did me a favor by filming some of that, so we're not too bad, but thought I would come look before they get started. This crew starts right at 8, so trying to let the kids sleep a little bit late, so I'm going to talk quietly. Hopefully the mic picks me up, but let's take a look. So this is what I mean by it doesn't look terribly different, but there's a lot going on here that is important if you know what you're looking for. Number one, this wall should probably come out today, I think, because the engineer did sign off on the tie-in that he had designed, so that was great. Now they can take this down. And then we found when we did the bathroom floors that people before us had notched a lot of joists, which is just really not a good plan if you're going to put tubs and toilets and tile and everything. So they went ahead and sistered everything in with some new joists that aren't notched just for stability's sake. And then they fought and fought and fought the layers of floor. So this was linoleum, original linoleum, which was like a pink color. Let me see if I can find a piece of it. I don't know that it was pink. It was probably beige. And it's just changed with all the glue and everything on it. And then plywood, and then 2 different types of tile. I mean, you can see here an underlayment. I mean, it was thick. So yeah, they're almost done with that. There they still have this side to go, and I feel like their workers want to cry. But yeah, it's all coming out. And then unfortunately, because that's how we roll, this subfloor also has to come out. Otherwise, the tile will be 3/4 of an inch taller than the rest of the house. And we would have to have big thresholds. We used to have big thresholds, and it was really annoying. Like the dirt piles up against them. I'm trying to think of other ways to describe why they're annoying. You trip over them, stub your toe, even if you shouldn't. Just stuff like that. And I'm not surprised we had such big thresholds, because we literally had 2 different tiles, 2 different underlayments, and linoleum. I don't know why people thought they should just keep laying more on more, but they did. Yeah, so now we're gonna have the subfloor taken out and redone, which is probably good because it has tons of holes from different things being run through it over the years, so that our tile can lay flat and has a more stable surface. That was what the tile person recommended, so, you know, just another thing in that budget. All right, so it's lunch on day 10, so we're 2 weeks into this renovation, and I'm going to show you a different floor. So our house technically on the back is 4 stories. We have a basement and first floor, second floor, and then actual stairs up into the attic, which we will one day probably refinish to another bedroom, but that's definitely not for right now. So a little bit ago, Adam made this awesome hammock area underneath the deck, and this is our basement. Right, so here's the basement, which is now a wreck, because if you look above us, there's no floor. So yeah, you can kind of see all the way up to the bathrooms. There it is right there. And they are working right now on leveling our floors. So you can see here there's a beam. There was a 1.5 inches of sagging in the floor that we are correcting for both stories. They did this one before lunch with another one, but luckily these old school piers here are still perfectly on level. It's pretty amazing because it's almost 100 years old. I mean, I think it's amazing that if 100 years later, there's sections that are perfectly level. So that was some cool construction. But I'll show you from the regular view. I like to think of this as the less fun part of the renovation. Like, there's no floors, there's no tile, there's no cabinets. There's just joists. I don't know if they've closed this off yet or not. Nope, it's still open. It is closed off from the rest of the house, but yeah, here's my basements, and here is what will be the kitchen and laundry. I think you guys are pretty familiar with this view from last week. I will say on the garden front, I'm super sad. So I have some weird, unknown disease that affects my cucumbers every year. And I have done everything but send samples off to the local ag center. I may see if they're willing to do that at this point because it doesn't meet any of the regular cucumber blights. So if anybody knows what this is offhand, I would love to know. But I grew these from seed and this year, and I was super excited because we had 2 lovely cucumbers, which have been harvested, and it's doing this again. And this was a Johnny Select hybrid that was supposed to be incredibly resistant to everything. So I don't know. I just hate it because it affects the cucumbers and sometimes squash and sometimes tomatoes, just depending, but always the cucumbers. So if you know what that is, I'd love to know. All right, so to recap this week, we really have 4 kind of points that we're going to touch on. And the first one I mentioned probably near the beginning where I look very tired, and that's decision fatigue. And I cannot recount how much that actually takes out of you. So this week we spent outside of work. Now, mind you, we're still working all day in the same house where we're having all this. And the kids are off for the summer, so that's a little chaotic. But after work, we have spent a total of almost 5 hours with the cabinet people. We were able to get in a couple earlier in the week when the kids were with my mom. And then we went back on Friday and let the oldest do his first real babysitting gig and spent another 3 hours with the cabinet designer. So that was 5 additional hours. And then we spent 2 hours after work on Tuesday consulting with the tile person and making decisions about the subfloor. So already outside of working 40 hours, I had 7 hours of just home renovation stuff. And that doesn't include the time that Adam has spent really sourcing faucets and things we call affectionately the fart fans. There's some weird code where you have to have fancy exhaust fans that also heat because there's no heat vent in our little 6 foot by 3 foot toilet area that's on the interior of the house. Don't even get me started. So again, that was from last week, know your code, but sourcing all those things and making all those decisions, and then you'll change your mind about a cabinet color, but then that means that your tile floor no longer matches, which went with your countertops, and you have to go back around and rethink all of those things. So we spent probably another 2 or 3 hours just reaffirming our decisions and looking at tiles and choosing different colors. So decision fatigue, especially we are rushing the decision making because we are going on vacation in the middle of this, is a real thing. So keep that in mind and give yourself some additional time and space to make as many decisions as possible early on, which leads to my other point, which is get your subs in as early as possible and then consultation process. This week we had to make a number of changes to the flooring based on the tile consultation, and then our plumber had an accident where he tore his meniscus. And so we had new plumbers come in on Friday and they were not down with the plan, and that was incredibly stressful. about walls and all that. So that's still being sorted out in week 3, which we just will figure out what we're doing there, but that changes everything. But having the tile person was very important. Otherwise, our floors would not have matched up correctly, and we would have been really upset, or we would have had to redo framing. So have everybody consult so you can make a plan. The third thing I would say is everything is going to take longer than you think it should. We know this. We knew. I mean, we do a lot of DIY here ourselves. Things always take longer than you think they will, but even more so when at the beginning, because I think your scope is still being completely nailed down. Your subs are coming in. They're saying, hey, if you want this, then you have to do this, or we've got to reroute it here, so we need another wall there, and now you have to rethink all of that. And I do think it will go faster as the process moves on, but it's definitely been slow. Also, that tile floor, it fought everyone. It just didn't want to go, but it's gone now. Yeah. And then finally, we start this video. It's kind of no plumbing, no problem. It is amazing how resilient you can be as a person if you choose to be, and how resilient kids are too. But we've done okay without plumbing. And now that I've had this 2 weeks and I had my kind of like little tired breakdown, I think, and I feel like I can speak for Adam on this one, we're doing a lot better on week 2, and going into week 3, I think we're going to be okay. But yeah, just remember to give yourself a little grace and be resilient. So, well, thanks for joining us this week, and hopefully we have a lot more fun and exciting things to show you in week 3. Because right now it just is the same view of wood all the time, just wood. Anyway, see you next week.